Hello, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Flourishing as a Total Woman virtual workshop series. My name is Sherica Hymes, and I am the founder and host of the Total Woman Summit. And for those of you that are new to the Total Woman Summit experience, the summit was created to empower women through education, connection, and community. As you all know, we are in the middle of a global pandemic, aka COVID-19, aka life interrupted, and today has been dedicated to talking about romance. Whether or not you are a couple, we just had a great conversation with our friends Dorcas and Cleo Griffin, which was hilarious. And tonight we're going to talk to our good friend Coach Kris. Coach Kris is a motivational speaker. She's a relationship guru, influencer, and most of all, she's a yogi. And she's going to be talking to us tonight about, listen, COVID-19 made me do it, or living single and living your best life. And that's where we will ultimately end up. So without further ado, let me introduce to you my good friend, Coach Kris. Hi, Kris. How are you?
What's up? How are you doing?
Doing good. What's going on? That hair is gorgeous.
You know we trying around here.
You got it. Meanwhile, I'm doing the off-the-wall version of Michael Jackson, okay?
Be free. Be free. It's a good time to explore. We're at home.
That's what Kris told me. She told me to explore people, okay? We are so glad to have you tonight. I can't wait to get into this conversation. But before we do, let's do a little bit of level setting and let's get some systems and lighting check. Can you all hear and see us okay? If you can hear us and see us okay, somebody drop us a note inside the chat function. Okay, looks like they can hear and see us okay. Thank you, guys. So I want to let you know that we have Shamel, who's my good friend. She's going to be navigating all of these good topics in the chat for us so you can stay focused on the conversation, but you want to get your phone out so you can make sure that you're screenshotting all of these good notes because it's going to be good notes. We got women on here from Seattle. We got women on here from France. We have people on here from all over the world. And yes, Kris, the brothers are in here with us. Hey, brothers, we so happy to have y'all. We're glad you're with us on tonight. All right, so let's get into it. Kris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been single. I have been married. I have been divorced. Now I'm happily single.
Not the divorced.
Divorced. And I also want to extend gratitude to you too, Sherica. Thank you for the platform. Thanks for creating an outlet that the singles can come together and have a chat. I am so appreciative.
Yeah, so we probably better get you all, let me give you a couple of disclaimers. Number one, how many of you all, by show of hands, you can use the raise your hand tool at the bottom? And how many of you have been watching the verses? And then particularly you on Instagram, you've seen the Teddy Riley and the Babyface one? Anybody? Oh yeah, we got a couple of raised hands. Okay, great. So let me tell you guys a secret. Kris and our relationship is very much like that verses between Teddy Riley and Babyface, except we go back and forth. Sometimes she's Babyface, I'm Teddy Riley. Sometimes it's, it's shady. My whole point in telling you that it's going to be a lot of shenanigans.
So basically, the singles questions that I can't answer, we're going to punt them over to Sherica. What she didn't say, she's singles too. So we're all in this together. I don't have all the answers, okay? I have a lot of experience, but that I don't know, it's going to be a very interactive session.
It's definitely going to be interactive. And what you guys want to do is you want to drop your questions. You don't have to wait until the end. We're going to have this conversation together. We have some rules. Here they are. Rules 1 through 50. We're going to have some fun. We're going to laugh. It's Thursday night. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. We're going to turn up. We're going to have some fun. You can't come in here with no red lips and your hair slicked down like that and your hair looking like this and don't have fun. And we know y'all at home looking cute too. So, rules 51 through 100, we're going to keep it 100, okay? So, we're talking to each other. You're talking to us, we're talking to each other, and we're talking to you. We're going to be very transparent, so this is not for the faint at heart. If you got pearls on, go ahead and take them off so you don't have to clutch them. Okay, get your beverage so you can, in case you feel a little choked up. And you might need some Clinics.
I'm drinking a mocha latte.
I have my Clinics right here in the box. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into it, Kris. Tell us a little bit how Coach Kris came to be. That was such a funny story to me when you told me about that.
Well, to be honest, I had a girlfriend and we were always having debates. Like she'd call me and tell me about some guy she's dating. And I'm like, girl, you know that's not it. And we would stay up literally for hours. Until one night she called me and she was like, Kris, you should be a relationship coach. I'm like, what? Huh? No. And so as luck would have it, I had another girlfriend the next week who called me about some guy she was dating about 2:00 in the morning. I just laid there in the bed. I was like, God, there has to be a better way. We're out here just doing it all wrong. So I said, well, at least, I can at least give some wisdom, some pointers. We got to open up the forum so we can do singleness better. Like we messing up. So that's how Coach Kris was formed.
Absolutely. And so I love that she said that we got to do better as singles. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation is because with the summit, I like to have meaningful discussions, right? I don't like to do the happy clappy, do the surface. I like to dive deep. We go deep sea diving around here in this summit with conversations, okay? So we've been having these conversations about this. And Kris said something to me as a friend. I did mention to you guys, we're friends for real, in real life. And she said to me, she mentioned she's been married before, and she was like, girl, I didn't have no business being married. Oh. Kris, tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Well, first, hold on. We're going to get to that. But I want to start with that question. You had a question, okay? And you said COVID made me do it.
COVID made me. Let me tell y'all what I said.
And I want to know. I'm sorry. I want to know what COVID made them do. Okay, that's what I'm here for. I got a question.
I want to get in this Q&A. So this is what I said COVID was making people do, because people were calling me. I am not a coach. I am not a therapist, but I have a lot of wisdom and I give a lot of great advice. So, and it's because I'm transparent and I don't mind putting my humanness on the line, hoping that somebody else can make a different decision. So when I described this session, I described it because I got so many friends texting me and calling me, or people like, Sherica, I'm getting weak. My phone ringing. They sliding in my DM. I'm thinking about letting them score. They like, I got them on do not disturb. I got them on call block, but I'm thinking about relaxing my call block boundaries. And I was like, wait, hold on. You don't want to leave this crisis. One pandemic going to another.
Is this like a new symptom of the COVID-19?
It's a new.
Has anybody reported this to the CDC?
Is the who?
Is it just happening for the singles? Like, is this a new symptom? Honestly, is this a new COVID is making you go back through your phone and call back Mr. or Mrs. Not that bad.
How many of you all been getting weak with the Mr. and Mrs. Not that bad? You can show your hand.
That wasn't my hand. I was just telling you what to do.
Just raise your hand. Use the feature. We got a couple of people. It's okay. It's okay. They weren't that bad. Okay, they relaxing these measures. So yes.
Okay. So unlike COVID, okay, I actually think I have a cure.
Okay, go
ahead. Okay, y'all want to know my cure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So it's two things. Okay. First of all, before we leave here tonight, me and Sherica are going to give you some instructions. She has an Android, and I have a what's this thing? Apple.
I have the Android.
We're going to leave some instructions. We're going to drop some instructions in the box of how to work these smartphones. You can make them actually do the work for you. Okay. Yes. So be sure to drop the Android instructions, but I will drop the instructions for the iPhone. You can actually get these people out of your phone. Okay. You can actually do that. And then another thing is the standard cannot be bad. Okay. That cannot be the standard. Okay. Okay. Can we talk? You can't have bad and then you're trying to call back Mr. Not that bad. Okay. So if you've relaxed your standards, what COVID-19 has revealed is that settling may still be an option for you. I said it. I'm going to drink my tea. Won't let that go down slow.
Why?
Settling may still be an option for you. We used to have a thing when I was in school. They would say, girl, would you date so-and-so? And our answer would be, girl, no. Not even if he was the last man or woman on earth, okay? That has to be your standard. If you know someone is toxic for you, if you know that someone's unhealthy for you, that can't be an option. So the cure to that is, guess what? More self-love.
More self-love. What do we mean by self-love? Because see, we keep it 100, okay? And just so we're all clear, is these elevated, evolved versions of ourselves, we got here because there were times in our lives where we weren't actually really demonstrating self-love with our decisions. And I had the audacity, I can talk about me, Kris can talk about her. I had the audacity to try to be bougie with my relaxed standards. Let me tell you what I was doing.
Uh-oh.
That's what I was doing. I was full of shenanigans. So I was okay dating somebody who was full of shenanigans. Now, he looked good. I ain't never dated broke. He looked good. He was very successful. But he was full of shenanigans too. What I mean by that is, listen, I was like, listen, I'm dating other people. You dating other people. We dating other people. We date other people. Except I may not have always clearly communicated that I was dating other people. And he may not have always communicated he was dating other people. And sometimes the two didn't go together. It would often be if I liked him so much that I decided I wasn't going to date other people, but maybe he didn't also make that same decision at the same time. That's a relaxed.
That's good. That's good stuff. But a lot of times when you're not the best version or the healthiest version of yourself, you don't know what you're entitled to.
Oh.
You don't know what you're entitled to. As I begin to take this singleness journey, I begin to tap into different layers of Kris that I didn't know were there. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm entitled to that. I'm entitled to, first of all, happy. I want to talk about happy. Okay, and I don't want to talk about happiness, happy as the emotion. Okay, I want to talk about happy in the form of when you're satisfied with the quality or the standard of whom you're dating.
Wait a minute, hold on, Kris. Me and Kris were on the phone the other night, and she said, do you know what happy means? Now, obviously, I'm like, I'm well educated, I'm well experienced. I'm like, yeah, of course I know what happy means. First of all, I thought she was trying to insult my intelligence and come for me. And she was like, no, let me tell you what Webster's dictionary says about happy. How many of you think you know what happy means by show of hands?
I thought I did.
We got a couple of hands raised, okay? Kris, read the definition of happy.
One of the definitions, now there are many different, but the one that caught my attention is to be satisfied with the quality or the standard of. And we're going to get back to that, shouldn't be married in a minute. But I'll never forget the day that I decided I was leaving. I had got it on my face to pray. You know, I like to pray. I do. I be with the shenanigans, but I pray. And I heard a voice so clearly tell me, I want you happy. Do you know, no one had never told me that? And I know it sounds dumb saying it out of my mouth. I'm going to tell the truth about it. It sounds dumb. No one had never told me that I could be satisfied with the quality or standard of the male man that I was dating. And the truth was I wasn't happy with the quality or the standard.
Happy is the quality or the standard. Shamel got it down there.
You got to
do that. How many of you use your hands? You guys are getting good with this feature. How many of you knew that's what happy meant? Because I will tell you, in full transparency, with a really expansive vocabulary, I had no idea that that's what happy meant. The quality,
ourselves
or standard.
Yeah, that's good.
That's so good. Okay. All right. Keep going.
You find yourself dating, hanging out with, chilling, somebody that you're not satisfied with the quality or the standards of, abort, exit, stage, left. Right. You can go either stage on this. You know, this. Go. Exit. Get out of there.
Immediately. Get out of there. How many of you have been in a situation or find yourself, or now with this new awareness, that you may have been settling? Something less than the standard of quality of what you deserve. We got a couple of hands. We appreciate your transparency. That's what we're all talking about tonight. That is exactly what we're talking about. Go on, Kris.
So you said, you also had a statement in there that you found yourself second guessing, well, maybe he wasn't that bad. Maybe he was. Please don't insult your own intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. That's part of self-love. Don't lie to yourself. That's a terrible thing. It's terrible. She has some therapists, and I'm no therapist, okay? I try to coach you out of, situations, okay? But she had some therapists on this earlier this week. Sometimes you need help to get out of things. Sometimes, but don't get back to where you're finding, and we have this thing bad sometimes. People will want to, well, Kris, he love you. That's your version of love.
Mm-hmm.
This version that I have found of love, he don't.
Let me give you a good example of that, Kris.
That's good.
We like to humanize things here at the Total Woman Summit, okay? So this is what happened. I was dating this guy. He's really handsome, super successful, couple $100,000 a year, makes good money. Street bought me all kinds of stuff, doing really well. And everybody was like, we love y'all together. Y'all so this, y'all so that, y'all so this. But you know what? Let me tell you what they didn't know is that I recognized that he was competing with me. If I had to speak somewhere, he would go get on somebody else's platform. He would accept an invitation to go somewhere so he could be doing what I was doing at the same time because he wasn't used to dating somebody who also did things that were accomplished. He was used to dating eye candy. He wasn't used to someone who was successful themselves, who also knew people. He thought he was the only person that could get the A-list invitations. I get the A-list invitations, and my seats are better than yours. And what we were doing, he was competing with me. I didn't know it. But when I told one of my friends, I'll never forget, that we were going to be breaking up, she said, she said, I told my sister that you guys are going to be breaking up. And my sister said, but I don't see what he's doing so bad.
We don't need you to see it. And why does it have to be what he's doing so bad? Again, the standard cannot be bad.
The standard cannot be bad.
Was she able to tell you what he was doing so good?
So good, and buying me things and being successful and looking good on paper and in pictures does not make it a good fit. How many of you have fallen for that? Looking good on paper and looking good in pictures and being couple goals for other people. Baby, that'll get you every time. That couple's goals, getting all them, got a whole lot of hands up. Let me tell you something. Couple goals kept me in that relationship a whole 8 months longer than I needed to be. The hardest 8 months of my life. I got some friends on here too who will tell you they was hard. They know exactly who I'm talking about. Bought me everything. He was amazing, but he competed with me. And I was miserable because I couldn't understand how we're on the same team and you are legitimately competing with me.
My goodness.
Which meant he could not celebrate anything I was doing. He found ways to try to minimize the things that I was doing because he would have to. Seriously, I was raising money I sat on a couple of boards and I was raising money for one of my boards. Y'all know I'm a committed to doing good and raising money for stuff. And let me tell you what he did. So not only did he make sure that his organization gave us a substantial donation, which we appreciate. They supported, right, what the initiative I was raising money for. But let me tell you what he did. I was bragging about like some individual giver. I was like, oh my God, somebody did so-and-so. Do you know he went out and gave like a couple more $100 than the individual person. So he could say, but he had them just give it to the organization. It was crazy.
That's wow.
That's wild.
Wow. Well, definitely love is definitely not competitive. you want the other person to shine and glow. One of the other things I wanted to talk about too is the conversations that we have around singleness. Single does not make you less than. Marriage is not up here and then singles down here. We're not less than, okay? I need people to know that. They often refer to single. Why are you single? Like something got to be wrong with you if you're single. Do you know what I've had happen? I went to the movies, dinner, or whatever. You get there and they're like, just one? What do you mean just one? Do you mean party of one? like something's wrong with me going out. So we gotta really monitor the conversations that we're having around singleness. Singles nuts is not a curse. God is not punishing you. Everybody's not meant to be married. Had you considered that? Single is not the detention center where you're held until you're married.
That's so good. Let me tell you one of the definitions of just. I am so against it when people say just one. So this is one of the definitions of just. Barely, by a little, simply, only.
My.
So they're like, you're only single or only one or barely one, as if you're not complete. And so society and our families do this to us. They try to tell you, or churches do it to us, people faith. And I don't know if everybody's doing it with malicious intent or if they're doing it out of just ignorance. But either way, it's unacceptable. But you're responsible for standing up and being a voice for yourself. Because we cannot, Dr. Massey, who's listening to us, who is a clinical psychologist, said to us during our mental health segment last week, she said, we have got to stop living up to the imitation of who other people think we are or want us to be. I am not just single, I am living my best, amazing single life.
Right.
And I know because I have lived just my single life before too.
Right.
Where I was always in a pattern of waiting. I was waiting to do something, waiting to go to these particular places that people call romantic places, because I was like, I'll go there when I get married, or I'll do this when I get married, because people kept saying, just one, are you not married yet? When you gonna get married? See? Kris?
Right. That is the truth. I've been there, done that. When I get married, I'm gonna do this. Baby, me and Sherica and a group of other friends, we took ourselves out to Paris.
Took ourselves out to Paris.
Romanticized. I said it. Romanticized.
Hey, Kris, what did we tell the people when we were in Paris riding around in the luxury cars every day? Because we treated ourselves well in Paris. Okay, y'all ain't seen my Paris pictures. Oh, that my lighting looked bad. My waistline was small in Paris. I'm sorry, digress. Anyway, go on. Kris,
what happened in Paris?
What you did
in Paris? You won't get it out of me.
We'll tell y'all about that later. That's a different.
We'll tell you about that later, but that's another revelation. I try to do something very wonderful for myself. I'm not sitting around waiting on no man to be good to me for no Valentine's Day. I recall a couple years ago, I went on an Eat, Pray, Love journey, something I never thought that I would do by myself. I spent about 30 days in India, and one of the days when we were there was Valentine's Day. Do you know that them women didn't even know? They did not even know that it was Valentine's Day. You know, they were asking me, Kris, what's the next country you're going to? And I thought about, well, what if someone had told me at their age to travel, to explore life, to not sit around waiting on no man to be good to you? I mean, they were unbothered. And you know what I said? Well, I'm not going to tell them it's Valentine's Day. I'm not going to mention it because they're having a great time. They were not sitting around waiting on no man.
Not
they
sitting
were
around.
living their best. It was just such, and they were young. It was me and another lady. We were probably the oldest. Like, they were 18, 20. I mean, had been to probably every continent, country. They were well versed, well trained. And then you know what it did for those singles that do want to date? It opened them up and it exposed them. Because a lot of people think they're limited to Memphis or they're limited to a certain zip code. Baby, that gave them experiences with people all around the world. Taught them that they had options.
They had options. Your options are not local to your little 100-mile radius.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to date in Memphis.
You don't have to date. But you know, we got people all over the country.
I know. I'm that kind of girl. I brings them out, honey.
Yes. This like crazy.
Don't make me act up.
Be shenanigans. But the more exposure you get, the more opportunities that you will have. You don't have to necessarily, Kris will tell you this later. She's had a white husband. She's had a black husband. Okay? But we'll talk to you too about
another show.
we will talk to you in a minute though about how we were raised and how that shaped our desire to get married. And that's
good.
The challenge too about why you walk around with these expectations, because a combination of our faith and the way that we were raised really by our fathers. Both of us grew up with two parent homes with fathers who were there and present and providers. Let's go ahead and talk about that, Kris.
Oh yes, let's talk about it. So I was a little girl. First of all, I was in everybody's wedding. I was a beautiful child. My mother would do me these little curly things in my hair, and I was everybody's flower girl. So of course, from the time I was very little, I was planning this here wedding. And my dad even taught us as little girls, he probably changed that as he got older, that we was gonna marry well. Okay? That was our destiny.
That was their destiny. She shared this with me as a friend.
And I never even realized it until I got older. And then my dad had presented one example for me. And then you get out in these streets and you like, wait a minute.
We talked about this. We need to unpack that because we're like sort of in this bubble having this conversation. But let's bring them on into the fold. So Kris doesn't mind me sharing. So she grew up and her family, you know, had means and they had resources. And her father set that standard and expectation that they were going to marry well. They were going to be beautiful girls and they were going to grow up and get married. And then I'll punt to you now and you can finish that story and sort of what you thought was going to happen.
So you get older and that was my life plan. Marriage. I'm embarrassed to say it out loud, but I'm gonna say it in front of everybody. We was going to get married.
Married well, but you were going to marry well.
Not with the well. He set an expectation of men providing for their families. Men. My dad was an exceptional man. Not saying that he will. You know, we all have our flaws or whatever. He wasn't perfect, but he was excellent. He set an excellent standard. And so you get out, like I said, in these streets and everybody ain't been raised. Mm-hmm. So you kind of get older looking for your daddy.
Looking
for your daddy in these streets.
So let me tell y'all how I was raised, right? I literally, my friends are on here. Kris was on this text. My parents, my mother and father, just dropped off my Mother's Day gift and they had their mask and gloves on. And they brought me my edible arrangements for Mother's Day on Sunday. And I sent the text. So that's my idea of my daddy, right? My daddy's always present. He's wherever I am. He's doing whatever it is I need, you know, done. And so my expectation really was that everybody shows up like that. I remember a friend saying to me, oh my gosh, Sherica, I'm so excited. This guy, you always say men who are fairly, you know, wealthy, or men who are this or that. And I was like, that's like a steering wheel on a car. That's like getting excited because you go get a car and it comes with a steering wheel. That's standard. Because the thing, but I didn't know. This was in my youth and my ignorance and my naivety. So now I have a little bit more respect for it. But I'm just telling you guys sort of about how we were raised. But my expectation where there were certain things that men did for you that just came. And I will tell you now in my maturity, I know that some of those expectations were really unrealistic because he wasn't supposed to be providing for me because he wasn't my father or my husband, right? So whoever my boyfriend at the time shouldn't have been doing the kind of things that my expectation that men would do for you. But what I also found was I had to get comfortable with what my standards were because
Liz, that's a good one.
The game has changed.
Get comfortable with what your standards are. Yeah, say that slow.
I had to get comfortable with my standard.
People will try to talk you out of your standard.
Because I'm going to tell you what was happening. I kept showing up at family events and things. And as I'm getting older, all of my friends are getting married. Some of them are deciding that marriage is no longer the right option for them or whatever the case may be. But people could not believe that I was not married. That's number one. Wow. And then they would be like, why aren't you married yet? Anybody ever asked y'all why y'all not married yet? By show of hands. You're such a great catch. Why are you not?
You know what I asked them? I asked them when are they going to be happily married? But that's another question. Go ahead.
Oh, she said she's going to ask the people when you're going to get happily married. So and then I started getting uncomfortable with dreading going to the family gatherings because I was going to be showing up alone. And the truth is, I was actually okay with coming by myself, but then I had to still feel uncomfortable because people were going to ask me all of those questions. So I had to get comfortable again with being single because people be getting on your nerves trying to tell you.
Rather you have a piece of man for appearance's sake, to make the thing look, to make them happy, to make them feel like you whole, a piece of man. Now, he may treat you terrible at the house, but you know that Sherica got a man.
You got a man. Oh, he might buy you a nice car, baby. They bought me now. That dude's listen. And they be like, he do everything. I've never had a man do that for me. I was like, but why do you need it? You can do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself. Okay, so we're going to pause right there. We're going to answer 2 of these questions.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
Very hard. I'm going to let you answer.
No. So we're going to bring Dr. Massey off. We're going to bring her online if we can't answer.
We need a therapist.
We want to tell y'all a secret. We already know this conversation is going to go over 8:30 because we're going to uncover everything, probably about 15 to 30 minutes. So if you got a ride, it's fine. If you don't, you good. But so here's question number 1. I have found that men are sometimes intimidated by successful women. They say they are not, but actions show different.
You know, that's a good one. You want to go with that one? What you want?
I'll let you go. You the guest. Go ahead. I'll go after you.
Now the guest. So be honest. Let me tell you what I found. That question said, I have found that it said men. Did it say men?
It said men. So this is from a woman. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Men are not intimidated by a woman.
Men.
Boys.
Oh. Let me drink some.
Okay, there's a male species, and then there's a man. Any man that's walking in his purpose, power, is not intimidated by you.
Well, all right then. There you go. That's a part of the problem, okay? Men are not intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
A man-child would be.
A male child. Mm-hmm.
You can be a
and
man.
let me say something else.
Go ahead.
That I have found. Mm-hmm. When I'm in the presence of a man, not a male. You know, because I can have a strong personality. I know that's hard to believe.
It's hard, difficult.
Very hard to believe.
Difficult.
But when I'm in the presence of a man, my spirit comes subject to him.
Come on, I just want
to go on that one.
Yeah,
I gotta readjust myself.
Readjust yourself. Let me tell you something. She's absolutely true because I feel safe. I can be vulnerable. I don't need to take position or authority. And this doesn't have to be a man I'm dating. If I'm hanging out with my friends that are men for real, I lean back. I get a certain level of comfort because he got this.
That's what men. That's men. They're males, and then men. Baby, they are unbothered. They will let you walk in your full authority and push you forward in it. But these male child sometimes that ain't fully developed, yes, they would be intimidated.
Mm-hmm. Yep, come on. Okay, so then here's another one. We're going to tackle 3 questions in a row. Here's a statement that they would like for us to unpack a little bit. Lonely and being okay with being alone are 2 totally different things. People are afraid to be alone with their own thoughts. I'm going to take this one first, Kris, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. Absolutely.
Yes, so we had a good conversation about this, I think, last week during mental health. But let me explain something to you. You don't have to be lonely because you are alone. I know people who are couples who are lonely. Because I believe it was Jill Scott who has a song that says, because I'm lonely whenever you are around.
Ooh, was it Jill?
It was Jill. Was it Jill? People, somebody confirm for me that was Jill.
It sounds good. It sounds like her. I'm going to listen to it.
Listen, pull it up, Kris. Yeah, it was Jill. Thank you, Flora. Flora said it was Jill. So, listen, let me tell you something. If you are not comfortable with yourself and being one with yourself and alone with your thoughts, because here's what COVID has unearthed for a lot of people. It has unearthed that your life is now quiet And now you got to deal with the voices in your head. You got to deal with all the realities of there's no place for you to post and pose and post and get a lot of likes, for people to validate you, for people to feel like they want to be you, they want to be able to go where you've been or be where you are. There is not all of this doing it for the gram, because nobody's doing it for the gram, because nobody is getting their hair done. Except since yesterday. Nobody's nails are done. Nobody's doing anything. And so what you have is, wait a minute, hold on, Kris, you're being shaded. But what you have is, so now you have to be at home, one with yourself, and you got to think about what's going on, live with the decisions you've made. And that's so uncomfortable for people. And I said this, I was a guest on a podcast 2 days ago, and we were talking about wholeness. And I said to them, here's the challenge. If you can't be alone with yourself, you shouldn't be out here pursuing a relationship. And if you're in one, you need to pause. That's number one. Okay. So you don't have to be lonely because you're alone. I'm not lonely because I'm alone. That's some stuff you might want to go deal with. Kris, go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
That's very good. I lived a pretty quarantine lifestyle anyway. I didn't know that's what it was called until the official quarantine, but I'm a quarantiner. If you don't like to be alone with you, why would anyone else enjoy your company? You don't enjoy your own company.
Hold on, Shamel, put that in there. If you don't like to be alone with you, why would anyone else want to be? You don't enjoy your own company. And if that's the truth, here's what we want to tell you. We don't want you to feel bad.
Yeah, don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad. We want you to own it. We want you to acknowledge that that's your truth, and then do the work to work through that. And if that work for you means you need to go sit with a professional and work through that, go do that.
That's right. That's right. I may have to sign up for a couple sessions myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Not for over this, but
not for this. This for her other issue, her shadiness. That's what she needs, other therapy.
Yes, I need some shadiness therapy.
See her, Dr. Master, just put yes in the chat. We appreciate it. So if you don't like to be alone with you, I want you to ask yourself that question by raise of hands. And you could be honest, because nobody else can see that but me. Kris can't even see you raise your hand. She said yes. Dr. Master said yes, she will see you for your shadiness.
Oh, thank
you. If you have challenges being alone with yourself, we got a couple of hands. That's good. I applaud you guys.
That's good. Yes. And that's the step to healing, is owning that feeling and processing that emotion. Again, like I said, I'm no therapist, but we got one on here. Mm-hmm. Alone is just having no one present. Mm-hmm. When you tap into loneliness, you're starting to really internalize it. Now you're feeling sad. Now you're feeling abandoned. Now you're feeling forsaken. Singleness got to get them a community. Yes. You got to get you a community, because that's how you can end up in bad company. Mm-hmm. With some man who will make you feel good about yourself.
Ooh. And you don't want a man to make you feel good about yourself, because if he can make you feel good about yourself, the flip side of that is he can make you feel what? Better
about yourself. So it's when you start tapping into loneliness is when it's okay to say, actually, I'm alone. I may need some company. Sherica, let's get the girls. What we doing? You know what I'm saying? So good company, the body, the mind, the soul don't know the difference. If it needs some company, that's okay. We were made to be together. We were made to have company. It's okay. But sometimes you do need to sit, like I was talking about the trip that I took. I sat in isolation for 30 days in a village. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Is this your India trip you're talking about?
Yes. That was tough. It was tough because I had thoughts I didn't know existed. Who is that guy? What's going on?
But Kris, you know what I think would add us so much value to this conversation? If people understand sort of what version of you that was, because I didn't meet that version of Kris. I met the version of Kris that had evolved after that experience. But tell us about the version of you that went into that experience, because that's not actually where you were supposed to be going. You were supposed to be going somewhere else, and then you got railroaded, and then you didn't have your luggage. So I think you tell us, because I remember you telling me about who you were when you walked into that experience. And
Well,
then
of course, I practice yoga. So I was learning, inner peace and kindness and compassion and all these good traits or whatever. So the studio that I practice at, people always ask me, did I teach? And I was like, no, I just kind of help out on Sundays. And so my yoga mentor was like, Kris, you really need to do the training. And I was like, maybe. So my sisters at that time, we would do a yearly sister trip. Well, this year we were trying to go to Paris, but all of our schedules kept being, we couldn't get it together. Okay. So my yoga mentor was like, well, you can do both. She said, you can go to Paris and you can go to India. She said, I stopped in Milan on my way to India. And she was just talking about the version of her that went in, and she kept trying to tell me. And I was like, oh, I could do it together. No problem. And she kept telling me about luxury versus need. And man, the version that went in was very active, had to be doing some all the time, just busy, can't be still. In fact, my brother said to me a couple months ago, he was like, Kris, you used to always be gone somewhere. He was like basically trying to say, who is this Kris? Because I don't know her. But so when I went to India, I learned how to be still. I learned so many things about myself.
you had packed out your good luxury stuff and
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm going on vacation, right? So I had packed my Lululemon, my candles, all of my luxuries, and I get there and they lose my luggage. I have nothing. I am in the middle of India with nothing. Okay. So I had prided myself because I thought I was a minimalist, in my mind, but it was still Lululemon. It was still the finest candles. I had nothing. So there I am, little black girl in the middle of India with no luggage, and nobody can help me. And I'm having a fit. I'm like, where's my luggage? They like, ma'am, calm down, ma'am. We get you luggage, no problem. But mind you, the village that I'm going to is 7 hours away. So I'm like, how are you going to get me my luggage in the middle of the village? So then the man who comes to pick me up can't speak English. So I'm like, here we go. They're going to sell me to sex trading. Baby. You talking about, and that was another thing that I realized I dealt with that I didn't know, baby. When I tell you fear, here I am, single woman over in it wasn't the jungle, it was the village. And it was nobody that spoke the English. And at one point, we had been gone for a long time, and I finally was able to relax enough to go to sleep. Okay. And when I woke up, I opened my eyes and there were about 5 Indian men, because not a lot of African Americans go over there here. Okay. And they were like, whoa, here's a dark one, but what is she? But they were looking over in the car and talking in their language. I was like, they're auctioning me off. I just know it. I'm just not going to make it out of this. But at any rate, I did make it. But I dealt with fear. I learned how to manage that. You could have never told me all the emotions that I was unable to unpack in those 30 days. And I was ready to go every day. Oh, come on, what time is this over with? Just anxiety, couldn't be still. What time are we getting out of here? But finally, about 15 days, I was able to relax. And I realized there was no planes coming in or out. You're stuck here, okay? And you're gonna have to heal. And that's exactly what I did. It was a healing. The professor, we cried every day. I don't even know how we got here. What was we talking about? What was the question?
We were talking about being alone with yourself, but sort of you got there because you used to live this really super busy life, but then you had shared with me that you were very materialistic, sort of issue, but it took this sort of evolution of self.
Yes, there we go. That's how we got here.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing. And then going in there, but I'm telling them that's how she got to this evolved version of herself. Was, for her, it was going to yoga. For me, it was going to therapy. And not the first or second time I went to therapy, because my therapist is out here, she could tell you. 2 different times, almost exactly a decade apart, before I was ready to get in there and have a real conversation
That's
with
good.
me about me. Because at first I was having therapy about other people.
That's good. That's good.
And let me tell you, when you know you done cracked the nut in therapy, when you get to talking about you and not when other people are
That's good.
dealing. When I realized that I was in a toxic relationship with my own self, child, that's a whole. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Drink, honey, drink. While I read this question. Okay, so we'll get back to that. It says, I'm 3 years divorced. I've healed from that and moved on. I someday want companionship again. Not sure I ever want to remarry. My issue is this: men never approach me. The last man who approached me was my ex, and we were together 16 years. Men don't look my way. Although I am okay in my singleness, this sometimes saddens me. I travel often solo, and not even on my solo occasions do men approach me. I've asked a few of my male friends if I seem approachable, and they say yes, and also say they wouldn't know why a man wouldn't want to approach me. I'm baffled on this.
Okay, that was a lot in that question.
That's a lot. That's a lot for us to unpack. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. So where do we start? Do question 1.
Let's do question 1. I am 3 years divorced, and I am okay with that. I'm okay in my singleness. And I would have to challenge and say,
Okay.
if you're okay in your singleness, why did you leave with your 3 years divorce? Because that was the first thing that came up. Is that you mentioned the relationship that's no longer your reality. Not as a reference later in the paragraph, but you led with that. And you said, and you referenced back to that person as being the last person who looked at you. Is it possible that men aren't looking at you, but you're so busy focused on the last person that you were with that you're looking for a new version of him and a new body with a different face?
Wow. Wow. Well, I will say this too. I felt like after I divorced, it was about 3 or 4 years, to be honest. I felt like I went through a period as well that men wasn't looking at me. And that was probably for all of our best benefit, to be honest, because I honestly thought, had you asked me, oh, I was healed. Yeah. Who's thinking about him?
The snaps, because your lips was on good and you was fine, because you got super fine, right?
You know, I really thought that I was in a place, and I was in a place that I wasn't. And somebody, I saw it pop up. It said they know they can't BS her. That's good too. Men sometimes don't approach women that they don't feel like they can get over on. I say give it time, and then have you approached?
Oh, that's something we got to hold on. Pause. Wait a minute.
You was interested in.
Hold on. I want to hold on. We coming to that because Dr. Massey said. He said men struggle with rejection too.
That's good.
It's not always easy to approach, and it's about them and not you. That's good.
That's good. See, that's why you need a therapist.
That's why you need a therapist. So first of all, it could be a lot of things. You could know that they can't BS you. They could be, from an accomplishment perspective, they could be very much showing up as a man. But that male child version of them
hasn't evolved
yet, so they're not even ready. You would prefer that they don't actually come for you.
That's so good, because me and you talked about that one day. If baby, you don't want a man that won't approach you.
No, you don't. My friend, okay, this is a true story. My good friend, right? She said to me, we were on a trip a couple of months ago, and she said to me, I said, she was like, I don't know how we got on this. And she was like, Sherica, when are you going to get married? She asked me if I wanted to get married, actually. And I was like, yes, marriage is definitely a desire of mine. I said, but I'm really waiting on God. I said, I am so grateful that I was engaged twice. And I said, I'm so grateful that I didn't marry those men because, I would have messed their lives up. And both of them are happily married now, as they should be, because they were good dudes. I was the problem.
You kind of glossed over that.
I'm sorry. I said I was the problem.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that they were perfect, but the truth is I could see how I wasn't ready to or fit to be anybody's wife, because I told you that I had to get to a place where I was ready to talk about Sherica in therapy and not what everybody else was doing, and I hadn't gotten to that place yet. But so my friend says to me, so I tell her that, right? Like I definitely want to be married, but it's not my focus in life. I'm living life. My life's not on pause for that. And she said, well, he's like, well, what kind of men approach you or whatever, right? And I was telling her what kind of men approach me. I was like, but I can go a long time without a man approaching me. And she was like, I could tell you why. She was like, if I was a dude, I wouldn't approach you. She was like, because you look like you have your stuff together. She was like, and I'm going to tell you, I have watched you work a room. A man will walk up to you and you will make him feel like he is the most important person in the room. She's like, you're smiling, you're deeply engaged. She's like, and then you walk across the room, do the exact same thing with somebody else. And then his ego deflates and he's like, oh, that wasn't about me. That's just who she is. What do y'all want me to do with that? What y'all think about that? First of all, I don't even know you. So you couldn't have, sort of now gotten this place in my life where you're the most important thing. I don't know what you want me to do, right, with that. And so I just said, well, when my man comes along, he is going to be okay with the fact that I work a room. I'm in business. It's a part of the life I live, so I have to do that. And it's my personality too. If you've met me, you know that. I don't meet a stranger. I'll talk to anybody. But Kris has told me that I'm nice, but no, what you tell me, I'm kind, but not nice. She was like, yeah, you be giving off the don't talk to me vibe. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so men deal with rejection too.
That's good. And then I would tell whoever asked the question as well, what is your expectation? Because just because a man approaches you doesn't mean that he meets your standards. Me and you and women are always saying there's a shortage of men out here or whatever. And that may or may not be true. We just came from COVID-19 and we were having a hard time getting paper towels, wipes, the wipes. So I want to tell y'all this little story, right? For the women out here who think there's a shortage of good men. What else was we having a hard time getting? Lysol, Clorox, something. Me and Sherica are talking the other day, and I said, hey, you got some wipes over there? This is the realization of when your standard got to be in check, right? And she's like, let me check in my closet and see what I got. And then it hit me. I was like, I don't want any kind of wipes. I want some lemon wipes. Now we're in a pandemic. It's a shortage, okay? And I will only accept the lemon wipes, okay? This is the importance of being patient, because if you start breathing that desperate thing, then your energy will send it out and a man will approach you. If you've been waiting so long for an approach, you settle for anything. So what happened, right? I end up getting my lemon wipes. I don't know if can y'all focus in, okay? And not only did I get my lemon wipes in a pandemic with a shortage, I got 35% more. I got the big one. That's what waiting to get you. Not only will you get approached, you'll actually get what you want if you'll exercise some patience. So don't let this thing breed a sense of desperation. Will somebody approach me? So yeah, even in a shortage, you can get what you like, baby. Okay, what else were we talking about?
Yeah, so then, but I like that though, because if you just go on, every friend I have that is happily married, because I have friends that are not happily married, but every friend that I have that is happily married, they will say they were so busy deep in living their own life and living their best life that they ran smack dab into their life partner, living their best life. And so I think that's the key, is living your best life. And then this person says the reason that they led with the divorce, I led with the divorce so that if the self-love and healing suggestion came up, I wanted you to know that had already been addressed. Okay, so that's good. They had already addressed that. Thank you. They said they definitely not looking for him and anyone else. but they can spot narcissism a mile away now, and I never want that again. So that's good, because you're narcissistic repellent. So you are sending off repellent for things that you do not.
That's good. That's really good. You're wearing a repellent, honey.
You're wearing a repellent. You wearing the loser repellent. Well, who was it? TLC with the no scrubs.
I want no scrubs. Scrubs can't get no love from me. Okay.
Okay. Anywho, this is what we do here.
But with our single next show.
That's right. Because quality comes few and far between. And so what I want to say to you is, I'm glad not everybody is approaching me, because I'm going to be somewhere trying to check Sherica out if everybody is coming for me. No, sir. I'm sorry, I'm out of your league. You can't talk to me. I want to be giving off certain vibes that filter foolishness out.
I feel a foolish filter.
A foolishness filter. Filter out the foolishness. So you should be applauding yourself and not looking at that as a negative if you are filtering out the foolishness, because we do give off energy. We do give off energy. And I'll tell you, here's a prime example of that. Monday we talked about domestic violence, because those numbers have spiked during this pandemic. And one of the things that the executive director of the domestic violence shelter said was, even if a victim gets out of one abusive relationship and they don't get help, they'll end back up in another one. And my question was why. They said because abusers prey on victims. They can tell. It's the way they carry themselves. They look at the ground. They look desperate. They look like they need validation. Be glad that you're not giving off that desperate vibe. And it's not an outfit. It's not a hairstyle. It is the energy. It is the self-love that we have for ourselves that's filtering out that foolishness. So they
want to try other dating options. I hear people are dating online now, meetups or whatever. I don't know all what they're doing out there, but if you're interested in dating, I hear, is it Lonnie on that show? She found her a good white man. I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying, she found a good guy.
Who is Lonnie, y'all? Who is
Lonnie? Oh, what's the show? The Real? Is it The Real?
You got a man?
Yes.
Say what you're saying. What you
saying? Yes, child. She had been waiting for years. Got a good man. You got to position yourself for other options.
Wait a minute. Let's talk about that though, because I think so many times that we think about dating. We have our list of what the person has to look like and all of that. I have found that as I have when I got more mature, I wasn't really concerned about that stuff as much as I was about core values and character.
You better, what you say?
Core values.
For the other people, you said the core values?
The core value is my nose.
My nose may have been shining or something. Okay. The core values. He needs a moral compass, honey, and the character.
And character.
Get him a haircut, fix him up, make him cute. Ooh.
Listen, y'all out here looking for somebody who looks like, and listen, I like fine now. I'm not gonna be with a buzzard, and I'm not gonna be with somebody who is not easy on the eyes.
Easy on the eyes. She told her age on that one, did you? Easy.
You're so shit. Okay, you shaded. Anywho, but I'm gonna tell you something. Is that there is more to that book than just the cover.
This is true.
I don't buy a book just for a cover. I want to know what's on the inside of them pages.
And
I don't want a book full of pictures. I need some content. I'm gonna need some substance. And so focus on core values and characters and share those too with your friends, because some of the best relationships come out of friendships, people who already know people who can, cast a wider net. And I'm like, well, they gotta live here, or they gotta be this color, they gotta do this, they gotta do this for a living. I had a friend tell me, they got to make this amount of money. He got to live in this city. He got to do this for a living. He got to be a part of this fraternity. I was like,
got to be vegetarian.
You done built a man, like Build-A-Bear. What kind of mess is that? I don't know what you're going to get with that. But listen, you got to cast a wider net. We can't do it.
Cast a wider net.
Cast a wider net. Okay, we got some questions. Here we go. We'll come back to that. All right. Is life better living single or married? Why or why not?
Girl, let me tell you something. I'm gonna get my smart glasses out for that one. Am I smarter yet? Okay. Stop it, Kris. Come back.
I told you.
I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to think Paul was crazy. Paul in the Bible. Okay, I'm a Bible child. I was raised in the church. I'm not gonna get deep and spiritual. But I thought Paul was crazy when
Mm-hmm.
Paul said that he wished that people would remain as him and just devote themselves to service to God. I said, Paul done lost his mind. That didn't. But what I have figured out is God is a lot easier to please than some of these men or women. But I'll say this. You have to know the grace that's assigned to your life. And in this season of singleness, I have actually tapped into the grace of it. So there's an ease. You got people that are single that are trying to operate in married grace. That's not the season you're in. I'm enjoying singleness. I believe singleness can be, if done right, can be beautiful. I think if marriage done right can be beautiful. If you don't get it right, it can be trials and a whole bunch of pain and tribulation. So I think either status can yield you reward and results if you get the right life partner.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good content.
Get it right. If you get it wrong, baby, there's people, what they say, you give love a bad name. And there's some people out there giving love a bad name. And now you have people considering singleness for life because they seeing the marrieds. I said it. The marrieds are messing it up so bad that people don't desire it anymore. Marriage love is a beautiful thing if you do it right. But singleness too, baby. Don't sleep on us. It's beautiful.
Listen, I'm enjoying myself, and
I'm enjoying myself. What's your thoughts on that, Sherica? Don't leave me out here by myself.
I'm gonna answer it after we do number 2 because I think number 2 and number 1. Actually, I'm gonna ask you number 2 and 3 together. It says, has social media? No, I'm not. Has social media ruined dating?
No.
I will tell you what the mistake people make.
Expose these folks out here.
Expose these folks. But let me tell you what social media does. Social media can't ruin anything. Social media is a tool. It's asking if cars make people have wrecks. No, drivers make people have wrecks. And reckless drivers make people have wrecks. The car is a tool. So social media is a tool. What I will tell you is one of the mistakes that I've seen people make is people get on here and they are using social media to flaunt their relationships in front of people and exposing too much of their business in social media. Listen.
And he got 5 more wives. That ain't social media's fault.
Social media didn't do it. Facebook didn't do it. Instagram, Twitter, whomever else. So I think you need to use social media responsibly. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, what I will say about that, because I'm speaking for me, is that I use this approach. Taraji, I remember her saying this. Taraji P. Henson, y'all know her. I remember her saying this. She said, people were like, who are you dating? She was like, I don't bring boyfriends on red carpets. She was like, because I want to make sure you're dating me for me. And when we get married, then you can show up on a carpet, or when we become deeply engaged, and that's where we've gotten. And so I have always lived by that. I'm a very private person. And so I've never posted any pictures of me and anybody I was dating on social media. So people never knew when I was in a relationship or not, because I didn't require that for you. I don't do all of that.
If I posted anybody, I'm sorry. Let me see if I go back here and delete them.
No, that's just mine though. So I'm serious.
No. I typically don't either. But I'm like,
I don't require that. But also, I feel like it sort of is, especially if we're dating, you're giving a whole lot of insight into your life. So what if this relationship only lasts 3 months, and then the next one is, 15 months, and then the next one is, but you've been posting all of this. Now people got all of your business. This week y'all in love. Oh, she broke up with another one. That's too much pressure. So, yeah, stop giving people all of your business. Save some for yourself.
That's right.
So our answer to that is no. Social media has not ruined dating. Do it if you feel differently, that we having this conversation together. If y'all feel differently, let us know. Drop it in chat or in Q&A. So then number 3, are there keys to sexual purity in dating? Yes, yes, yes. You want me to go first, or you got it first?
Keys to sexual purity. Woo! Don't listen to Babyface. Go ahead.
Shaded Teddy Riley, shaded Babyface. She's so shady. And we're not talking about them. I'll tell y'all what we mean by that. So here's the deal. So I have lived single, where I was living single and having sex outside of marriage and fornicating and really enjoying it. Okay, I was enjoying it. Okay, let me be honest. I told y'all we're gonna be honest on here. We're gonna tell the truth.
The honesty. Thank you.
Really enjoying it but I'm a person of faith. And then I thought to myself, seriously, I was in prayer like a lot of different times, and I just remember hearing, what if you actually dated my way, Sherica?
Ooh.
And I was like, wow. He was like, what would it cost you if you dated my way? Because you're doing it your way, and you've had several boyfriends. So I was like, well, okay, I don't exactly have a willing record. Okay, so let's see. Let's try it your way. So I have actually been practicing abstinence for, what year is it, 2020? For 8 years, no lie. And it has not been a struggle for me. And what I will tell you is I have dated somebody for almost 2 years. During that time, we're not together anymore. That was the one that was competing with me. And we didn't have sex either, but I will tell you this. What I have realized about dating people and not having sex with them is that you get to the real character of who you are and who they are. You really check for what that chemistry is like. We really get to know each other, because you don't get to have makeup sex. There is no makeup sex. We got an argument, we're going to deal with the problem.
That's good.
And then I didn't have any issues walking away from relationships either, because I wasn't adding another number.
That's good.
I just gave myself to another person. I was like, whatever, it don't work. We good, player. We're good. And then I could tell if I liked you, or if I liked the way you made me feel, or me. And
that's sexual healing.
Sexual healing, or you like the way I made you feel. So I have found that really it has made me be able to operate in wholeness. And I told you, I like sex. I think it's an amazing thing. But I do understand why God said it should be happening between a man and a wife. Because there are no distractions for me. And there are things that I do to make sure that I can walk in that. And when she said Babyface, this is a true story, right? Like, so I'm not someone who's walking around here. So I don't watch the sex scenes in movies. I'm fast forwarding because I got to do things to be able to continue to operate in abstinence, right? Because I told y'all, I'm human, right? I'm not dead. I'm just choosing to practice, abstinence, because I believe I serve God, so I'm not going to give him, I'm not going to a la carte my service to him in that way. But I'm not watching sexual scenes in movies, because I don't need to be waking nothing up that I'm not going to be able to put, Then I'm not listening to love songs. I'm telling you right now, I don't listen to love songs. I can listen to a good Tori Kelly song or something like that. But this one I messed up the other night on Versus, honey. The Teddy Riley and the Babyface. I cannot be around here listening to Babyface. It took me 3 days to get Babyface out of my head. I was like, he gonna pay. Oh Lord. And I told Kris, I was like, Lord Jesus.
Any man that's smooth to sit up in his studio.
Sit in his studio and don't talk above this right here.
With no 17 is bound to talk you out of your drawers. You got to be careful.
You can't do it. Careful. You got to be careful out here in these R&B streets, ladies. You got to be careful. So that's my thoughts on sexual purity and dating. And I see that question. We'll get to that in a second. Kris, you want to address the sexual purity in dating?
Well, I've walked holy since birth. No.
Where's Candace? Candace, what is happening here? Can you manage her? Candace is our friend, y'all. She is in charge of the whole world.
Oh my God, that's a lie. So I was thinking about this one day. And my story is similar to Sherica's similar. Okay. This is what occurred to me one day. So if natural diseases can be transferred, sex is not just a natural thing. It is spiritual and natural. And if you can transfer a natural disease, you can transfer a spiritual disease. Let's just sit with it. We need a moment of silence. You're joining forces with their mind, their thoughts, their emotions, their demons, their angels. Welcome, you have become one. And when I got that revelation, I'm gonna tell you what the church teaches. But everybody ain't gonna practice celibacy or abstinence. What's the difference? Is there a difference between abstinence and celibacy? What's the difference?
Because I thought I knew what happened.
I was talking about that. Abstinence and celibacy. We amateur experts. She gonna look it up. Thank God for Google.
Happy meant, but now I'm not sure if I know what anything means. Let me see.
So you are joining forces. I understand now why God said that sex should be in the institution of marriage, because you are truly becoming one with whatever. So instead of, we have taught people not to do it, I like to teach people how to do it. Okay? Because let's face it, everybody, the Christian beliefs, which is what the school I'm from, is celibacy, and we looking up abstinence. We don't know if they're the same thing. We learn it all together.
Abstinence is the fact or practice of restraining oneself from indulging in something. Typically,
okay.
Abstinence and celibacy. Hold on.
We're going to learn today.
We're going to learn this education. All right. Celibacy is the state of abstaining from marriage and sexual relations, or abstaining from sexual relations.
So I think they're kind of the same. If anybody wiser than Google, let us know.
Yeah, I looked it up on Miriam's.
Okay. So they're about the same thing. So you have to learn how to manage.
Wait a minute, Keita, our good friend Keita just texted me. This is what she
said, y'all.
Keita real smart. She's super bright. Keita, she says, although many people use celibacy and abstinence interchangeably, there is a difference between the two terms. Yes, abstinence usually refers to the decision not to have penetrative sex.
Oh.
And celibacy, yes, abstinence usually refers to the decision not to have penetrative sex. This is adult conversation.
Wait a minute, you went out.
Can y'all hear me now?
What a sound.
Can y'all hear me?
I got you now.
Okay, abstinence.
He don't want y'all to get the good news.
He don't want y'all to hear this truth. Abstinence usually refers to the decision not to have penetrative sex, and celibacy is a vow to remain abstinent over an extended period of time.
So which one is you? Is you that celibate?
I'm both. I'm abstinent and celibate. Okay? Yes. There you go.
Okay. Woo! Woo! Okay. But just like anything else, honestly, you have to learn how to, that's why I do the yoga. Let me tell you something. I emailed the yoga studio 2 days. I said, look here, if y'all don't get this studio open, I'm going to find the cure to COVID-19 myself. You understand? Okay? And let's just be honest about it. Sex is an actual beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing.
In a beautiful situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you out here, you cannot mismanage your vagina.
You can't.
That's another show.
Candace, you have failed again. She said, we are out here. You can't be out here mismanaging your vagina. Okay. All right. So, yes, don't mismanage your vagina.
Do we go home?
Let's just go on, because I mean, what exactly is happening, Candace? We too want to know what is happening. I don't know what's happening, but this is what we're talking about.
I'm just saying.
We're gonna keep 100 out here. This is
keep it 100. We may have to come back and do another episode.
We may have to, but y'all just wait. We got something for you.
Sweetheart, let me tell you, you better learn to get you some massages.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not sex that you crave.
Talk about it.
Sometimes it's touch.
Touch.
It's grown here. What is the kid sleep? Is everybody going to sleep?
And if you ain't ready for it, you go to sleep. Knock yourself out. Take some. Because we have a dope conversation. Okay. You mentioned something.
There's healing in touch.
There's healing in touch.
Okay. Get you a good massage therapist. Go get your feet did. Your scalp massaged.
You say,
okay. What happened?
Candace call this TWS after dark. Candace is another one of our friends. We're sorry. Okay, we got to answer this question. I can't.
Okay, we'll get back to that. But yeah.
Stop mismanaging your vagina, and if you're a man and you're listening, stop mismanaging your penis. Okay, so here's the question. Do you have to be pure? All sins are equal. Can a consenting, informed, developed adult practice the freedom of sex while being single, especially for those who don't desire marriage?
Say it one more time.
Okay.
You gotta ask them long questions. Go slow.
Do you have to be pure? All sins are equal. Can a consenting, informed, developed adult practice this freedom of sex while being single, especially for those who don't desire marriage?
You can do anything you want.
You can do anything you want.
Okay. But all sins are created equal. Okay. All sins have penalties.
All sins have penalties. They all have
penalties. And I ain't God. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here to put penalties on you. I've practiced myself. You understand?
I practice myself. I've done it both ways. That's why I told y'all full transparency.
I've done it both ways. You got to go to the person who created this here thing called the sex and get those kind of answers, because there are natural laws and there are spiritual laws.
Natural laws and spiritual.
If you're violating a spiritual law, you got some consequences.
You got some consequences, but that's when you
experience. And like I said, it's a natural transaction and it's a spiritual transaction. So you are in spiritual violation, according to biblical standards. If you don't believe in that, if you don't believe in God or whatever, then that's between you and your maker. You can do whatever you like.
Right.
But all sins, from my understanding, have consequences. And if it's
for that.
Enlighten me.
Enlighten, right? So we're just telling you what I told you, what I'm doing, what I'm practicing. I told you both ways, right? Yeah. But I told very clearly.
And you're not dealing with virgins. They've been virgins all their life.
Nope. Okay. No. Okay. No. I told you that. All right. I told you. Didn't I tell y'all that? Right? I told you that. I keep it 100. Is this what
my scarf on?
You got to put your scarf?
I feel the shenanigans coming on.
Oh, she done threw the scarf. Oh, Lord. Okay, here go question. Here's another one. If you could say one thing about dating that you've learned from your life so far to the next generation, what would you say?
I'm going to let you go with that one first, because I think I'm long-winded.
Okay, so what I would say to that is, number one, don't start dating. Don't start the practice of dating until you are okay being alone with yourself. That's what I would say.
I agree.
Yeah, I would get very clear on that. And then secondly, I would say don't introduce sex to it. Don't introduce sex into it. Really get to know the person. We don't spend enough time understanding each other. We get so caught up into the feeling.
The feeling.
Y'all ever felt real good while it was happening, then when it walk away, you be like, this dude. But you know what I mean? Here we go. You know what I'm saying? If y'all okay. So my point is, those would be my two advice. Those would be my two things, my two pieces of advice. But I will say this in full disclaimer. I am a woman of faith. My desire is to please God.
That's good.
In my service to him, in prayer, in my time with him, he made it very clear to me he was not pleased with the way I was a la carte in my service to him. I had pieces of my life that were on hold that I would not allow him to touch, and I would not surrender to him. And having sex and fornicating, which is what we call in Christianity, sex outside of marriage, which was something that I was withholding from him. And he asked me why wouldn't I yield that to him. And my desire is to please him. And I have not been any less happy. In fact, I've been happier since I did it, because now I didn't feel like I was doing something that he was displeased with. And every time I went to him in prayer, I had to wonder if he was filtering my prayer through the fact that I was
voluntarily
sinning. Okay, spiritual law. So those are my two pieces of advice. So Kris, okay, what would your piece of advice be?
I would say become the best version of yourself. And me and you laugh about this, and we're getting ready to close soon. Yeah. But I will never forget, in my living room in Atlanta, and I had my list of my requirements of my male. And I heard the Spirit ask me just as clearly, he said, would you marry you? I never forgot it. Because honestly, the type of male that I'm looking for wouldn't have been interested in that version of me. So there are things that I'm getting to know about myself in singleness. If you skip this season, you pick better from a place of being informed, when you know what you're entitled to. Baby, the man I would have chose 10 years ago versus the man that I would choose today, they two different people. And that's what happens to a lot of marriages. You marry young, 18, 19, and that's not the version of you're gonna be. So get to the best version of yourself, and it allows you to pick better.
Pick better. That is so good, Kris. I love that. Okay, and we are getting ready to close. I told you we were going to probably go over 15 or 30 minutes. We knew that, but you guys are rolling with us. We'll be off in 9 minutes. So here's this last question. If you have any other questions, you better drop them in here, because we're only answering what we see. How has God used this season uniquely in your life for you to serve him or for you to grow? You want me to get it, or you got it?
You go first. Ooh.
So here's what I realized in my life. So it's levels to this, okay? Because this evolved higher awareness, higher level of emotional intelligence version of Sherica that you see today. This didn't just happen overnight. I didn't just show up to become this person. And in fact, there were seasons in my life where I thought I was okay and I wasn't. So for me, yes. So early in my life, what I realized was that I had a lot of traumatic pain and a lot of unresolved issues and hurt, but I wasn't dealing with them. I was putting accomplishment on top of trauma. I was putting a whole lot of, I could push through on top of pain.
That's good.
And so, yeah. No, the first season of my life where I got real with me was he told me that I needed to do the hard heart work. And that's the HARD, HEART work. And that was, I had to go unbury some things that I had prematurely buried and was like, I'm fine. I'm just moving on. And y'all know what I think about fine. Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional, courtesy of the Italian job. That's what fine means. But so once I got real about that, then the second level was, why are there pieces of yourself that you withhold from me, but you ask me for any and everything? And your expectation is that I'll answer it. And so he asked me, would I want to be in a relationship with someone that was only willing to give pieces of themselves but wanted everything? And my answer to that was, quite frankly, no. And then he also asked me, would I want to marry me? And the first couple of years that I answered that question, I'll be honest, I was like, of course. And then I had my list of, this is why I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. And then about 3 years into it, I was like, no, I wouldn't. And this conversation is over, and Satan, get thee behind me. Okay? I was like, I wouldn't want no parts of this, okay? Because this is some foolishness. I wouldn't be with me, because I knew all the things that were covered under all the pretty and all the accomplishments and the fashion and the style and the influence and the networks and all of that. And then what I have learned now is this, is that I am happy, I am whole, and wholeness was always the goal. I I am whole in every way. So when people ask me, what do you want in a mate? My first requirement is wholeness in every area of his life, in his relationship with his creator, in his relationship with money, in his relationship with his health, in his relationship with his emotional self, in his relationship with his family and his friends, and in his relationship with his career. I need wholeness in every area of his life because I have ascended to wholeness, and that's what I require. So that's what God has used this season uniquely in my life to teach me and to serve him and to grow.
That's good. That was so good. I forgot the question.
Okay, let me tell it to you. How has God used this season uniquely in your life for you to serve him or for you to grow?
Wow. I don't even know where to start. But to be honest, this season to me has been a season of purpose, because to be honest, I may have not been settling in my relationships, but I've been settling in what I'm doing versus what I'm called to do, to be honest. So in this season of my life, I have putting action toward what I know I'm supposed to be doing. And like you said, we can get busy with, lifestyle or whatever the case may be, but he just really revealed to me, Kris, you know what to do. You know what you're supposed to be doing. Like, why are you not doing it? So he's just allowed all the excuses. He removed the excuses. Because my excuses was, I'm too busy, I got this going on, blah, 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 and I work and I'm tired. Okay, you ain't got to go for 3 months. Now you're at home by yourself. Now what you doing? And I realized I wasn't too busy. I was lazy.
Yep. So what I would ask you is, what if you took some of that energy that you were putting on focusing into relationships and put that energy into really pursuing the things that you want? I have created during this time, I've been able to solely focus on my business, which is successful, and I employ lots of people and help other people. I'm able to forward those initiatives and dreams. I've created a Total Woman Summit, which you're experiencing a new level of that, and 2 other projects. And so I am so happy though and resolved with myself. And yes, I want companionship, but I'm not on pause in my life waiting on that.
That's good.
And so I wonder what you could create if you made yourself your primary focus. And
I wonder what you quit glossing over these good nuggets, honey. I wonder what you could create if you what?
If you made yourself your entire focus.
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me on your show. I love the show. I am a fan. It's just been good being here.
It has been amazing. And ladies, what we want you to do is you can follow Kris at I am Coach Kris on Instagram if you want to continue this conversation. And you definitely want to be following Kris, and you want to be following me as well, because I have a new project that's dropping where we will be having more conversations like this more frequently. So you can follow me at Sherica Hymes on Instagram, as well as at Total Woman Summits. And then I need you guys to do me 2 favors. One favor is we are going to have a survey that pops up immediately after this that's going to ask you to tell us about your experience. And guess what? We need you to show us that. Okay, we need you to fill that out, and we need you to tell us how you enjoyed this conversation, if it was helpful, if there are any other things that you'd like to discuss. And then I happen to serve on the board for Women United of the United Way of the Mid-South. And we are in the process, I don't care where you are across this country, I need you to help me get masks into the hands of the frontliners that work for the Salvation Army in the 20 for 20 campaign. You can get 20 masks for $20. You can go to healthgearnow.com to order them. You'll see this same graphic up on that website. Don't worry about having to put your address in there. The masks are going to go straight to the Salvation Army. Or you can text COVID relief to 91999. Can you guys see my screen? You can see this, right, Kris?
Yes.
So I need all of you to commit to doing that before you go to bed tonight. And if you can do more than 20, these frontliners are serving the community. We need to protect them and their families so they can keep showing up every day as essential workers, helping those folks. And this is for the Salvation Army, particularly for the domestic violence shelter that's housing women and children right now that have escaped from violent situations, and also those that are serving food in the community to those less fortunate, and to the babies who are not eating because they're not going to school. So I need you to give $20 or more. If you can give 100 and get 100 masks, I need you to do that. I need you to help me. And I'm going to tell you thank you in advance because I know you guys are going to do it. So thank you all so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure being with you. Thank you, Kris, for lending your time and your talents and your transparency. It has been an amazing conversation. You all have a lovely evening and have a great night. Bye.